Okay, good evening. We're back with Genesis chapter 34. Revenge against Shechem. One day, Dinah, Leah's daughter, went to visit some of the young women who had lived in the area, but when the local prince, Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, saw her, he took her and raped her. Uh-oh. But Shechem's love for Dinah was strong, and he tried to win her affection. He even spoke to her father about it. "Get this girl for me," he demanded. "I want to marry her." Word soon reached Jacob that his daughter had been defiled, but his sons were out in the fields herding cattle, so he did nothing until they returned. Meanwhile, Hamor, Shechem's father, came out to discuss the matter with Jacob. He arrived just as Jacob's sons were coming in from the fields. They were shocked and furious that their sister had been raped. Shechem had done a disgraceful thing against Jacob's family, a thing that should never have been done. Hamor told Jacob and his sons, "My son Shechem is truly in love with your daughter, and he longs for her to be his wife. Please let him marry her. We invite you to let your daughters marry our sons, and we will give our daughters as wives for your young men. And you may live among us. The land is open to you. Settle here and trade with us. You are free to acquire property among us." Then Shechem addressed Dinah's father and brothers. "Please be kind to me and let me have her as my wife," he begged. "I will give whatever you require. No matter what dowry or gift you demand, I will pay it. Only give me the girl as my wife." But Dinah's brother deceived Shechem and Hamor because of what Shechem had done to their sister. They said to them, "We couldn't possibly allow this because you aren't circumcised. It would be a disgrace for her to marry a man like you. But here is a solution. If every man among you will be circumcised like we are, we will intermarry with you and live here and unite with you to become one people. Otherwise, we will take her and be on our own." Hamor and Shechem gladly agreed, and Shechem lost no time in acting on their request, for he wanted Dinah desperately. Shechem was a highly respected member of his family, and he appeared with his father before the town leaders to present this proposal. "Those men are our friends," they said. "Let's invite them to live here among us and ply their trade. For the land is large enough to hold them, and we can intermarry with them, but they will consider staying here only on one condition. Every one of us men must be circumcised just as they are. But if we do this, all their flocks and possessions will become ours. Come, let's agree to this so they can settle here among us." So all the men agreed and were circumcised, but 3 days later, when their wounds were still sore, 2 of Dinah's brothers, Simon and Levi, took their swords, entered the town without opposition, and slaughtered every man there. Oh my! Including Hamor and Shechem. They rescued Dinah from Shechem's house and returned to their camp, but then all of Jacob's sons plundered the town because their sister had been defiled there. They seized all the flocks and herds and donkeys, everything they could lay their hands on, both inside the town and outside in the fields. They also took all the women and children and wealth of every kind. Afterward, Jacob said to Levi and Simon, "You have made me stink among all the people of this land, among all the Canaanites and Perizzites. We are so few that they will come and crush us. We will all be killed." "Should we treat our sister like a prostitute?" they retorted angrily. Genesis chapter 35. Jacob's return to Bethel. God said to Jacob, "Now move on to Bethel and settle there. Build an altar there to worship me, the God who appeared to you before you fled from your brother Esau." So Jacob told everyone in his household, "Destroy your idols, wash yourselves, and put on clean clothing. We are now going to Bethel, where I will build an altar to the God who answered my prayers when I was in distress. He has stayed with me whenever I have gone." So they gave Jacob all their idols and their earrings, and he buried them beneath a tree near Shechem. When they set out again, terror from God came over the people in all the towns of that area, and no one attacked them. Finally, they arrived at Luz, now called Bethel, in Canaan. Jacob built an altar there and named it El Bethel, because God had appeared to him there at Bethel when he was fleeing from Esau. Soon after this, Rebekah's old nurse, Deborah, died. She was buried beneath the oak tree in the valley below Bethel. Ever since, the tree has been called the Oak of Weeping. God appeared to Jacob once again when he arrived at Bethel after traveling from Paddan. God blessed him and said, "Your name is no longer Jacob, you will now be called Israel." Then God said, "I am God Almighty. Multiply and fill the earth. Become a great nation, even many nations. Kings will be among your descendants, and I will pass on to you the land I gave to Abraham and Isaac. Yes, I will give it to you and your descendants." Then God went out from the place where he had spoken to Jacob. Jacob set up a stone pillar to mark the place where God had spoken to him. He then poured wine over it as an offering to God and anointed the pillar with olive oil. Jacob called the place Bethel, house of God, because God had spoken to him there. The deaths of Rachel and Isaac. Leaving Bethel, they traveled onward toward Ephrath, that is, Bethlehem, but Rachel's pains of childbirth began while they were still some distance away. After a very hard delivery, the midwife finally explained, "Don't be afraid, you have another son." Rachel was about to die, but with her last breath she named him Ben-Ani. The baby's father, however, called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Jacob set up a stone monument over her grave, and it can be seen there to this day. Jacob then traveled on and camped beyond the tower of Edar. While he was there, Reuben slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and someone told Jacob about it. These are the names of the 12 sons of Jacob. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zelpath, Leah's servant, was Gad and Asher. These were the sons born to Jacob Paddan. So Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Merib, which is near Kiriath-Rabbah, now called Hebron, where Abraham had also lived. Isaac lived for 180 years, and he died at a ripe old age, joining his ancestors in death. Then his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Okay, and with that, I'll be back tomorrow with Genesis chapter 36.